Hello and blessed be. Thank you for joining Astro Psych. My name is Kathleen Thomas, and we're going to be looking at the full moon in Scorpio. Today is April 30th, 2025, and it is 2:20 p.m. I will be sharing just a few insights that I saw as I was reviewing the chart and maybe bringing in a few signatures that you're not used to seeing before, as I like to look at some of the uncommon signatures and some of the newer ones that are out there within astrology, which would include the four main goddesses, Hecate, Lilith, although those archetypes and figures are not new to us. They go way back in antiquity and mythology and the writings of our world. They are newer to astrology. So I'm looking forward to bringing that to you. And let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be moving myself off of the pictures so that I can put the full chart in front of you. I want to encourage you, follow along as I do point out certain sections and I use visuals. So I want to thank you again for following and being patient with me. I am on my last couple courses of my doctorate, and then I write my dissertation, and then I hope to be graduating. So yay. We'll really look forward to just having a bit more time to myself and also to be able to do more readings for people in sessions and help spread the love and the light that is so available for each of us. All right, so as you can see in front of you, you have the Scorpio flower full moon occurring May 12, 2025, 12:56 p.m. Lynchburg, Virginia, and I am using tropical zodiac whole sign astrology. This is being read according to the geographical area of Lynchburg, Virginia, USA, of course. So you take that into consideration if you are on the other side of the country or even moved out by more than 200 miles. You can start to see planets move and change the further out you go. But as long as you're within the geographical location of Lynchburg, about 100 to 200 miles out, these will pretty much be the signatures. So I do read from there, and make sure you move this chart accordingly. But because I live here and this is my community, I do like to read the signatures that are around us because we interact with one another here. And so right off the bat, we can see that this moon is occurring at 22 degrees, 12 minutes, and it's occurring within the sign of Scorpio, and it is occurring within the fourth house. We have the sun, of course, opposite on a full moon, and the sign of Taurus in the 10th house at 22 degrees. And then we have the ascendant, which is Leo, which is going to be how people generally are carrying their energy around and how they are looking to also express this moon, where they will be, how they will do it. The ascendant is our rising sign, and it is our portal. It is the portal of the energy as the sun was rising on the eastern part of the chart. And so you can see we have a Leo fixed fire ascendant. Incidentally, for those within the United States, President Trump is a Leo ascendant. That's kind of interesting the way that worked out. And of course, we see that sun is in Taurus, and Taurus originally ruling the second house of fixed earth, dealing with Venetian themes. It's Lord of income and money and security and where we place our values. And of course, Venus is highly magnetic. So the chart ruler through this ascendant is the sun itself, as Leo is ruled by the sun. And with Venus involved here, we have a highly, highly magnetic sun that is concerned with money and security in a very fixed, fiery way, in a fixed earth way. And that would also have to do with, of course, the tariffs and the sun being in the house of the 10th, which is the midheaven, the high point of the chart where the sun is at its zenith. And with themes of Capricorn and Saturn, we see here authority and where structures and boundaries and a very cardinal way are being set up in that house, and fixed earth inside of a cardinal house with earth on earth and a sun here. My goodness, do we have a lot of power? And so remember that as we're looking at the outer world, of which the moon being a very personal and intuitive, instinctual planet to us, what it's communicating. So with that layer, I want to dive into this moon. I want to talk about the degree first, 22 reducing to a 4, and looking for some balance here with this moon. And full moons are, of course, a cumulative time of when we're releasing, we're letting go the new intentions of the new moon that we just had occurring within Taurus itself. So now we're really seeing with the full moon in Scorpio here, opposite the Taurus intentions and the Taurus, what are we trying to speak and bring into the earth in a very outer way through, of course, the United States and Trump, but also now personally in your own life. You can go back to that new moon and point it to your chart and see what Taurus was interested in looking at that time. And this will be where this full moon is now saying, okay, take this energy and release it and put it out. It's got great power when it is full. And let's do something with this energy. Let's release it. Let's not hold it. And of course, this is a Scorpio moon. So 4 within Scorpio, asking us to look for some sort of balance in some sort of structuring within 4 corners. I see the number 4 very much about 4 legs to a table, right? Where if one of those legs is off, we have to fix it. We have to either shimmy something underneath it or take off the leg entirely, depending on what's needed, and restructure a whole new type of leg or something that's going to sustain and hold that table up. Because if we look at the Magician card in the Tarot, there's kind of some symbolism here where the Magician, he has all that he needs, as above, so below, pointing on the table. Everything's on the table. The 4 suits of the Tarot, and everything's available to us with the number 4. So with that layer, let's move on into this moon. Now, when the moon is in Scorpio, we're looking at the planets of Mars and Pluto. And this is going to be the lordship or the domicile of this moon. What is ruling this moon? My goodness. With Mars, Pluto, and the moon all together inside of Scorpio, we have got some serious power here. I would say that this is a very, very powerful full moon and a great opportunity to release what has been keeping you off balance, what you have learned to say no to. Where's your no? Where is your no that's saying, look, no more. I need to have balance in my own life, despite what's going on in the outer world, despite what others are doing. I have to realize that really the power's in my own psychology. The power's in my home where that moon is sitting. And it's not alone within Scorpio. We'll get to that to a minute, but we've got a very packed house with the asteroids coming forth here, and they have a message to be given. Now, the moon in Scorpio is going to be moody, and it's going to be serious because it's fixed water. And so with it being in the home, it's really needing to lighten up a little bit. And with it at 22 degrees, Cancer's trying to move that cardinal water out, and she's coming in wanting to, direct you and show you, hey, don't hold on to this so much. This is really going to have this turning in upon itself. Scorpio, it does not do well in the moon there. It just does not. It does not like it. And it's actually considered to be in its fall. So it doesn't have much power here when the moon is in Scorpio. It likes to be in Cancer where it rules, and this moon is in Cancer's home. So the moon feels it's most comfortable here. And with this being a cardinal water house and a fixed water moon, cardinal Cancer is going to have something to say here and want to stir these waters up. And sure enough, where do we see Cancer? That is the lordship of that moon in that house. Even though it's in Scorpio, we look at original lordship, and she's over there in the 12th house. And there's nothing else going on in that house. It is empty, but boy, is it speaking. It's saying in a trine position, the 4th trines, the 12th here, water to water, harmony of a Jupiter nature, 120 degrees. This is energy that is a slow, constant action. The steady beat in the background of the mother and trying to heal and trying to move the waters and trying to nourish and comfort you. And the 12th house, of course, is a house of darkness. Yes, it is in the daytime part of the chart, but the 12th house is ruled originally by Pisces with Neptune. And the 12th house is about where we retreat from the world and our psychology, where we move away and perhaps unacknowledged or repressed. Yes, repression is the 12th house, where we're just pushing all that back in on our mind, on our hearts, on our souls, on our bodies. And boy, with a Scorpio fixed moon, we are certainly holding on to it. So good news is Cancer's trining the 4th, and Cancer is trining Pisces over in the 8th house that Scorpio originally rules. So you've got a harmony with the water over to the 8th and over to the 12th. Now check this out. They're not in their comfortable spaces because Scorpio rules the 8th, Pisces rules the 12th, and Cancer rules the 4th. Here's the good news. This can be flowed into the right space. And that is exactly what this chart's trying to do. And so we need to look at that 8th house real close. And we need to look at the 4th house real close, because the 4th and the 8th have a conversation going on that's super important to understand. Now, the moon in Scorpio is also a sensual moon. It's a very feeling moon. And we have Venus that is ingressed on the 30th of April into Aries, quite comfortable now at 8 degrees. Venus moves quickly around the zodiac wheel. And sure enough, who is she with? She is with Chiron, the wounded healer, the parts of ourself that we repressed from childhood, or a wound that has occurred that is festering and we can't get free of it. And it is pinned in by Neptune as well on the other side, as Neptune has gone into Aries. And they're all sitting in the 9th house of God, or the 9th house of personal philosophy, the 9th house of what we believe in. And a very fiery, active energy, because the 9th house is a firehouse anyway of Sagittarius. So there's a huge message there of find your I am and heal your identity. Boy, has Chiron been trying to do this. I tell you what, I need to do a whole separate video on Chiron and what Chiron's been doing in Aries. If any of you are Aries, I want to just encourage you. I have seen what you've been going through, and it is going to end. Yes, it is. Not yet, but it's coming. There is a liberation that's coming to you once this Chiron clears out of this Aries. So wherever collectively you have Aries in your chart, Chiron's been there doing a, what a message. And it's not been easy to find your I am and your identity. And, in the midst of bouncing out of COVID, and then the United States changes that we're experiencing here. And again, I'm speaking to the USA. That's where I live in my community of Lynchburg, what we have been seeing. And everyone has an opinion on that, of course. But there's a lot of knowledge coming out of that ninth house philosophy of the greater truths and wisdom from all over the parts of the world speaking about what's occurring within the United States. And Venus, back to this sensuality, is trying to say, hey, where is your magnetism at in your psychology that's deep within you, just almost like stored, but not like knowing where to put it because of the need of what you need to release and not hold on to anymore. Like, what is that whole message about? So that's one of the bigger themes up there occurring in that ninth house that ties to the sensuality that we can see with a Scorpio moon. So the passions run really deep here, and the responses are very visceral and instinctive. Remember, Scorpio is ruled by Mars, okay? Mars is in the first house in Leo at 11 degrees. So it is speaking, Mars is home in the first house, and with it fixed in Leo, it's focusing its energy really on itself. And Cardinal Aries may focus its energy on itself, but it wants to move out. Aries wants to move. And that whole message of the ninth, incidentally, is trining that first house. The mutable fire house is trining the cardinal fire house. And those energies are all speaking back and forth. And where you have Venus at 8 degrees trining Leo, Mars at 11 degrees working in harmony, you have got a lot of fire and a lot of magnetism. And boy, the sun rules Leo, ruling this chart. This is some powerful energy coming forth. So dealing with the early home environment when we start to deal with Scorpio moon, the moon in the fourth house is going to represent this emotional sensitivity related to home, related to the way you care for others that are most close to you in your immediate environment. Home is personal. Home isn't really out in the world. This is a personal moon. This is about you and where your feet are every day when you get out of bed, where you go to bed. How is bed for you? How are you sleeping? That would be a question. How are you eating? How are you showering, bathing, taking care of yourself? How are you being true to your instinctive nature? Very domestic moon here, connected with the need to feel that your environment is safe and your environment is okay. And you must be the jailer who is singing though he is in prison, because it is in the song that you get released. It is in the song that you sing when you're in jail that you get released. For you must understand that your spirit, your soul essence is never imprisoned. Even though you may feel these pressures of the outer world hitting you in your inner world, your most sensitive parts, fourth house is when it's the darkest, it's at night. The fourth house is a nocturnal time and a nocturnal place within the chart, the lower 1 through 6 houses. So this is hidden areas. When you have a Scorpio moon that is ruling the 8th house of the cave of Hades, and the undertow of the ocean, that which is dragging you down that needs to be looked at, you've got some potency here to release. And This is why in the moon circle this month that I will be holding with all of the beautiful women souls that I'm so blessed and privileged to be around. A huge shout out to Heidi at Dragon Hill. Just so grateful for her friendship and her emulation, really, of what a full moon that she was born on really looks like, and just always releasing her energy out upon the earth. And it's such a thing of beauty. I just want to say that there is great power here in doing your own rituals. We're going to be doing a no jar. And that jar, I'm just so looking forward to building that together and just really, doing some shadow work and looking at the still stuck deep waters of the pond that the lotus loves to live in. And, what's going down in those roots. And so this is a awesome time to really release that which you've been holding on to. Now, needing to be around those that you consider family is really important at this full moon. And, Scorpio's not going to tolerate truly any Scorpio hail. You know this. You're not going to tolerate anybody that does not match your energy, in that there has to be authenticity. There has to be truth. You don't have to be like this person or even look or act. But when you do move or look or act, there must be authenticity. Mercury is speaking to us in our communication opposite this moon, and it is in Taurus. And this is where we're able to slow that mind thought down in a more conservative energy. It's fixed earth. So this is mentality that's like, I need you to be grounded in reality here. I need you to be practical. I need you to look at how your fixed earth, how do you need to A, maybe move it around, or B, maybe pull it in? And that is going to be where Taurus is working on you in this moon with that cycle of the 10th house Taurus Mercury we're experiencing here for a few more weeks. Mercury in that 10th is strong mental connection and inner awareness to your career and your professional ambitions in the world. Now we've got the asteroid Psyche that's right next to the communication of this Taurus on the very midheaven. This is recognition of childhood trauma with Psyche. This is raw wounds psychologically, and our vulnerability in our mind thought and the way that we think. This is tied to memory of childhood. Look, on the other side is Chiron. Chiron's going to be moving right into that Psyche asteroid, changing signs relatively quick. This is psychic impressionability with Psyche as well, because Psyche, once healed, has the ability to go up and out to the higher Neptunian, the higher Uranian energy, and bring it down for psychological recovery. So it's the state of your mental health, your head wounds, and your brain states. It's asking us with Taurus in fixed earth to say, look, fix your mentality in the things opposite the fourth, the home, where you're very public, in a very secure, safe way that honors, because Taurus is ruled by Venus in the 9th house, your philosophy, and Neptune's right there, your higher truths of life. Okay, so what I want to bring in here now is just some of the aspects that this moon is making. It's very important to see this because the moon is speaking to other planets in every single full moon chart or any chart in general. So it's important to look at this. The moon has a lot of aspects because I have a lot of signatures within the chart. This is a very busy chart. There's a lot going on, but I want to hit on the main ones that are very close by. And that would be the moon, obviously, opposite the sun in perfect 180 degrees. And so opposites have the nature of Saturn. So they're asking us, hey, take a look at this energy that's opposite from you. Take a look at the contrast. Take a look at what's stressing you out. Take a look at this slow, constant action of the other. Okay, what is outside of you now? We need to look at, okay? The sun is the solar power, right? It's you as a soul that came to Earth, and it's your conscious energy, whereas the moon is your instinctual energy that really knows how to move out. And so the conscious sun is having to deal with all of this 10th house stuff, and how is this going to affect our money at home, and how is this going to affect my career, and what is going to be my career, and what is this going to look like in the future. And we can have a tendency in the shadow here of the sun in Taurus to maybe take things a little bit too seriously and maybe indulge in just like, oh, I'm just going to eat, I'm just going to drink, I'm just going to put beautiful, comfortable things around me, and I'm only going to go after Venus in the ninth, my own way of looking at things. In the I am, Venus is in Aries. And it's asking us to be a little bit more coming towards Scorpio, okay? And the moon releasing towards that sun. It's got to go both ways. It can't be one way or the other. So there's a desire for inner harmony when we have these opposites. And Saturn is our lesson keeper. And he delays, but he doesn't deny, which means if we learn the lesson, he'll release you. And that energy will move on to another lesson that we need to learn. But remember, it's not always about what we're learning. It's also about joy. It's also about encapsulating what we're doing well. It's also about remembering that we're not here to always be fixated on ourselves. In Scorpio moon, this is why we're releasing it. There's a season and a time for that, but we can't stay there. We can't stay all fixated upon ourselves and all fixated on what? On these partnerships. Because another position we have to look at is the moon is within 1.5 degrees of Juno. And Juno is an asteroid that was the third asteroid of the 4 major asteroids to be discovered. She was discovered in 1805. And so she came on the scene in the early 19th century, and a lot was going on at that time when the 4 asteroids came out among the feminine. So when we look at Juno, we're looking at the mythology of the Greek wife Hera and consort to Jupiter. Therefore, the astrology of Juno represents the partnering energy of intimate relationships. So it's the territory of Venus and the moon. Venus and the moon. Juno seems to differ a bit, though, in representing the partnership energy in a new light. So where are my boundaries in relationships? Is my bitterness, rage, and anger and resentment? These are the shadowy areas of Scorpio that can ruminate deep fixed waters within us. And that 8th house, the 7th house, is Libra, and the next house is the 8th, of course. So it's where 1 through 7 of our chart, I need to look at my psychology within the chart and where I may project my authorities coming out of my partnerships in ways with that may not be the best way to assert myself, because with it in the fourth and with Juno in retrograde, we now know that she's reviewing her closest relationships that are impacting her personal home. So I leave you with that. There's a lot more I want to get to, but look at your relationships, look at the asteroid Juno. And I do have a podcast called All Things Esoteric with my friend Anthony, whereby we did all 4 asteroids. And I will pin that in the description part of this video if you care to go take a look at that. I want to talk about Vesta. As she's on the other side, the moon would have gone through Hecate, Black Moon Lilith, Vesta, the IC, just hours before it hit that 12:56 p.m. position at 22 degrees. The moon moves through each sign every 2.5 days. It moves very, very quickly, and it whips around the wheel in 28 days. So this is like a fast-moving object. So the moon has gone through the entire 4th house almost, and it's heading towards partnerships, which means it's going to be within hours right conjunct in partnerships. So just a word of caution, I would say that this could be a very heart-to-heart conversation, but mind the way that you say it, because Scorpio can't, it's ruled by Mars and Pluto, and sometimes it can be really rough in the way that it presents its energy. It's fixed. It knows what it's talking about. It's looked at the energy. It's kind of frozen it, and it knows what it knows. Okay, with it being in the sensitive part of the chart, you look at that IC, which is the most sensitive part of the chart, the darkest, most hidden at 18 degrees. I tell you, this is some realization that perhaps you've been working on for quite some time that can be released. It's a very potent time. And the new moon would have showed up, exactly what that was. All right, so Vesta. Let's talk a little bit about Vesta. I think that's super important to talk about her. Now, the asteroid Vesta was the last of the 4 major asteroids to be discovered in 1807. And she stands for Hestia in the Greek, one of the sisters of Jupiter and Juno. And Vesta chose to remain a virgin and not marry. She was the goddess of the hearth fire, which was of utmost importance in ancient times, connotating hospitality in the basic vitality of the home or city-state, and her astrological symbol is the flame itself. So she would have been the one that were keeping the fires going. And I tell you, if you've done any study about how communities used to be, which I have a little bit, and I'm fascinated by communities and how they used to be, because I think that we've strayed so far away, especially in the United States of America, from the ideal of community and what that really means. And hey, I'm guilty of that too. I haven't been the best representation at all times of getting out there in the community and really supporting it. I'm learning how to do that, and we each have our own journey. But I want to say a lot of us have been in the hermit mode and coming out and saying, I have got to engage with community because no man is an island. And Scorpio very much can be like that at times, just this island and its deep fixed energies in the cave in the 8th house all by itself, but there's something to be said about going there. Vesta's shining a light next to one of the most sensitive points in the chart, the primal most sensitive point in the chart, I should say. And, she's trying to communicate her inner flame of service and how she shows up as the goddess among us and how she's healed her inner dark parts of the shadow and integrated, and now she's able to come up and out, and it's androgynous, I would say. Even though it's a goddess, she remained a virgin. So inner essence, our purest essence, we're neither male nor female, we're both, right? So she's really found herself inside of Scorpio if she's done her shadow work. And Scorpio does tie us to sexual energy, so I'm bringing in the sex in this because you've got the flame of Vesta on fire within the sign of Scorpio. We have to look at the costume that is cloaking Vesta. So she can bring up issues of sexuality and who is ultimately served in the process of sexuality within partnerships, within home, within the way we express Black Moon Lilith, who definitely has to deal with sex, with the way that Hecate would say, where are you at in this crossroads? How can I guide you and show you the path through this? Do you need to go back perhaps? Or do you need to stay on this path for a while yet and continue to learn the lessons? Or should we move forward? Should we move forward and get off of this path and move those waters out? As I had talked to very strongly earlier, with Cancer in the 12th, wanting to stir those psychological, deep inner parts of the repressed nature. So those are the main themes that I wanted to bring out this month. There's so much more that could be said in this chart, but I want to encourage you to look to wherever you see Scorpio at 22 degrees within your chart. She is definitely speaking about releasing that which you no longer need to hold on to. From a Swami Saradananda book, Essential Guides to the Chakras, page 50. I want to read this to you on overcoming blockages. Scorpio, I believe, deals with karma along with Saturn and the nodes within the chart. Probably Uranus, too, we could throw in there. But wherever we have deep-seated ways of being, which is what Scorpio really is about, sex, death, rebirth, deeply felt experiences, our transformations, other people, second house, other people's money, how other people's money get in our psyche, the way that we react to it, how we need to grow, how we need to change. Well, we definitely have some karma here within the psychology of what we came in with. So Scorpio is here to clean all that up by looking at it and putting it under a microscope and saying, look, this is what needs to be addressed. And Mars has to do, who rules Scorpio, has to do with sharp objects and warfare and aggressive energy. And it's where our courage is and where our determination comes in, ambition and our passional sexuality. So very much this moon is asking to heal those sexual areas in your life of your psyche. It's action and vigor, Mars. And where we have Pluto, now we're dealing with a much deeper type of archetype here. Yes, and newer, but a much deeper. And Pluto is very destructive energy, where when Pluto gets done with its movement, you do not even recognize the new symbol, the new person, the new nature, the new archetype that is stepped forth. So karma is very important in this reading. And what do you need to release? And what is blocking you? I quote, "Karma is action. It includes the actions you have done in the past, whether in this lifetime or in past ones, and the reactions that you get from those actions. As a result, your past actions you are enjoying or suffering from, your present situation in life, The knowledge that you are the creator of your present situation enables you to better guide your future by removing present blockages to the flow of your prana. To remove karmic blockages, begin by being non-judgmental, especially with yourself. Let go of the habit of constantly making comparisons. Accept the fact that you are exactly where you need to be at the moment. This may involve not sweating the small stuff and being patient with those around you and with the limitations of your surroundings. Being content in the present while striving to improve your future life involves a deep acceptance and understanding of the law of karma. It enables you to release the blockages that consume vast amounts of your energy with thoughts that you shouldn't have done something or you should have done it in a different way. Learn from your mistakes and move on without letting regrets devour you. Start noticing how your present efforts enable you to change your future. As you go about your daily routine without judging it, be aware of whether or not your mind is really on what you are doing, or is your mind stuck on recriminations about what you could, should, or would have done. Begin to accept that the past is over. You cannot change it. Even a split second after you have carried out an action, you cannot undo it. Once you have said something, it is said. You can never unsay it. Take responsibility for your own karma. Trace every energetic blockage back to your own previous actions and attitudes. Also, whenever you feel distress of any kind, consciously choose to return to your center of balance. And so it is. Blessed be.